Hello and welcome back to another episode of Revolutionize Your Life with Jenkins, where we dive into the strategies, mindset shifts, and bold actions you need to unlock your potential and achieve lasting success. I'm your host, Lee Jenkins, and today we're going to talk about something incredibly exciting: how to go beyond slow, incremental progress and instead make quantum leaps in your life and career. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is a quantum leap? Well, it's that dramatic breakthrough, the kind of growth that defies logic and allows you to achieve results that might have seemed impossible at first. It's about jumping to a new level of achievement without the traditional step-by-step process we've been taught to follow. So, in today's episode, we'll explore the principles behind achieving quantum leaps, why trying harder isn't always the answer, and how you can apply unconventional strategies to create breakthroughs in your life. And by the end of today's episode, you'll have actionable steps to stop spinning your wheels and start making bold moves towards your biggest goals. Now, as you listen today, I want you to think about the areas in your life where you've been stuck, where it feels like no matter how hard you try, you just can't seem to break through. What if I told you that the solution isn't necessarily to work harder, though, or to put in more time, but to completely change your approach? See, we're going to discuss how letting go of traditional thinking, embracing discomfort, and taking bold action, sometimes before you feel fully ready, can lead to a breakthrough that, well, you've been searching for. So, if you're ready to stop making incremental progress and start achieving quantum leaps, well, hey, let's get started. Okay, now that we've set the stage, let's dive into the core idea of making quantum leaps. And what do I mean by this? Well, a quantum leap is a dynamic increase in performance or achievement, something that takes you to the next level without going through the traditional, slow, step-by-step progress. So, a quantum leap is different. It's much different from the kind of growth most of us are used to. Typically, we think success as the result of hard work and slow, steady progress, moving from point A to point B in small incremental steps. But a quantum leap defies that logic. It's a breakthrough that allows you to jump to a new level without following the usual path. It's the difference between incremental change and exponential growth. Think of it like this. Instead of climbing a mountain step by step, a quantum leap is more like, taking a helicopter straight to the top. It's a shift in thinking and action that allows you to bypass obstacles and experience rapid growth. Now, one of the biggest misconceptions we have about success is that if we try harder, we'll eventually break through. But here's the truth. Trying harder isn't always the answer. In fact, sometimes it's the very thing that's keeping us stuck. Now, there's a story that illustrates this perfectly. Imagine a fly trapped inside a room, trying desperately to escape through a closed window. Now, that fly, it's going to keep banging its head against the glass over and over again, thinking that with enough effort, it will eventually break through. But no matter how hard it tries, it's not going to get through that window. What the fly doesn't realize is that just a few feet away, there's an open door. If it changed its approach and stopped trying harder at the wrong solution, it would find the freedom. Now, this is the same trap we fall into when we think that working harder or putting in more effort will automatically lead to success. Sometimes what we need is not more effort, but a different approach, one that allows us to see the open doors we've been missing. So, how do you make a quantum leap? Well, it starts by rethinking your approach to success. Instead of following the conventional path of slow progress, it's about taking bold, strategic actions that allow you to bypass traditional steps. Now, one of the most important things to understand about quantum leaps is that they often require you to take risks. Doing things that, might feel uncomfortable or that push you outside of your normal routine. These leaps are about doing what others aren't willing to do. Whether that's thinking radically, stepping out before you feel ready, or taking a path that isn't always clear. Now, here's a real-world example. Many entrepreneurs who have experienced explosive business growth didn't follow the typical path of gradual scaling. Instead, they took big risks, launching innovative products, expanding into new markets, or investing heavily in their brand before they had all the pieces in place. These bold moves allowed them to experience exponential growth because they didn't let conventional thinking hold them back. Now, another key to making quantum leaps is letting go of common sense. Now, I don't mean ignoring logic altogether, but sometimes common sense can keep us from, well, within certain limits. It tells us to play it safe, to take the slow and steady route, to avoid risks. But that kind of thinking can also keep you from seeing the bigger opportunities that exist outside the boundaries of traditional logic. If you want to experience exponential growth, you have to be willing to think beyond what makes sense. You have to challenge your assumptions about what's possible and be willing to step into the unknown. For example, consider athletes who break records or artists who create groundbreaking work. They didn't get there by following common sense. They got there by pushing past what seemed reasonable and embracing radical possibilities. Now, one final key to making quantum leaps is learning to trust the unseen forces that support your success. When you take bold actions, even before you feel ready, you often find that resources, opportunities, and people, well, they show up to help you along the way. This is part of the magic of making a quantum leap. You don't need to have everything figured out before you start. In fact, waiting for everything to be perfect can keep you stuck in place. Trusting in the unseen forces means being willing to take that first step without knowing exactly how the journey will unfold. It's about having the confidence that once you commit to your goal, the right support will appear as you move forward. Okay, now that we've explored what quantum leaps are and how they differ from slow incremental progress, let's talk about how you can start applying these principles into your own life. It's time to stop trying harder in ways that, well, aren't working and instead take bold, strategic steps towards the breakthroughs that you've been waiting for. So, here are 4 actionable steps you can take today to start making quantum leaps in your own life. Okay, the first step to achieving quantum leaps is to suspend the limiting beliefs that have been holding you back. Now, we often place unnecessary limits on ourselves, whether it's doubting our abilities, thinking we need to follow a specific path, or believing that certain goals are out of reach. But here's what you can do. Identify the beliefs that are keeping you from pursuing bigger goals. Ask yourself, what have I been telling myself is impossible or out of reach? And then write down these limiting beliefs and challenge them. For example, if you believe you need years of preparation before starting a new project, flip that belief and ask yourself, what if I'm ready right now? And then shift your thinking from I can't to what if I can? This simple mindset shift opens the door to new possibilities. So number 2 is make your move before you're ready. You see, one of the key principles of achieving quantum leaps is learning to act before you feel fully ready. Many of us, we wait. We wait for the perfect moment, the perfect resources, or the perfect plan before we take bold action. But here's the truth. Waiting for perfection will keep you stuck. So here's a challenge for you. Think of one bold move you've been putting off because you didn't feel ready. Whether it's starting a new project, launching a business, or making a career change. Next, take that first step and do it today, even if it's incredibly uncomfortable. Trust that the resources and support you need will appear as you move forward. And remember, quantum leaps often happen when you step out in faith, trusting that the path will unfold as you go. Now, our third challenge is focus on ends, not means. So when making a quantum leap, it's important to focus on the end results, your ultimate goal. Rather than getting bogged down by the details of how you're going to get there, sometimes the how doesn't become clear until you start moving towards the goal. So here's how to apply this. Spend time visualizing your end goal, the breakthrough that you want to achieve. Get crystal clear on what success looks like for you. Next, stop worrying about how you're going to get there. Instead, focus on the next bold action you can take that will bring you closer to that goal. And then trust that the how will reveal itself as you move forward. Your job is to stay focused on the result and take action, even if the entire plan isn't clear yet. Now, number 4 is seek failure as a path to growth. Now, one of the biggest obstacles to making quantum leaps is the fear of failure. But here's the truth. Failure is part of the process when you're pushing past your limits and going for big goals. Remember that. In fact, failure often provides the feedback and learning you need to make a breakthrough. So here's how to embrace failure as part of your growth. Set a bold goal, that scares you. Something that feels, almost impossible. Then commit to pursuing it even if it means facing setbacks along the way. Now, when you experience failure or a setback, I want you to ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How is this helping me grow? Then, instead of retreating at the first sign of failure, I want you to push forward. The more you embrace failure as a learning tool, the more likely you are to achieve that breakthrough. Now, these 4 actionable steps, suspending limiting beliefs, acting before you're ready, focusing on the end result, and seeking failure as a path to growth, will help you to start making quantum leaps in your life and achieve dramatic breakthroughs. So, now that we've explored the principles of quantum leaps and how to apply them in your life, here's the key message I want you to take away from today's episode. And that's, breakthroughs don't come from doing more of the same. They come from making bold moves, challenging your limits, and embracing discomfort. So, if you want to experience exponential growth, it's time to let go of conventional thinking and stop relying on slow, incremental progress. Quantum leaps happen when you stop playing it safe. Suspend your limiting beliefs and take bold, strategic actions even when you don't feel fully ready. Remember, success often requires you to step out in faith, trusting that the resources and support you need will come as you move forward. And failure is not the end. It's part of the process of growth. Every setback teaches you something valuable, and every challenge brings you one step closer to your breakthroughs. So I want you to ask yourself, am I ready to stop thinking small and take a bold leap towards my biggest goals? Ask yourself this, am I willing to push past the fear of failure and trust that the path will unfold as I go? Now, the answer lies in your willingness to step into the unknown and trust that you are capable of achieving more than you have ever imagined. All right, we've talked about how quantum leaps happen when you stop playing small and take bold action. Now it's time. It's time for you to step up and make those breakthroughs in your own life. Knowledge is powerful, but it only works when you put it into action. So here's what I want you to do. Number 1, identify one bold move. Think about one area of your life where you've been holding back, waiting for the perfect moment or feeling unsure. Identify one bold move you can take, whether it's launching a new project, making a big decision, or pursuing a goal that seems out of reach. Take that step today. Number 2, act before you feel ready. Don't wait for everything to be perfect before you move. Sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come from stepping out before you feel fully prepared. Trust that the resources, the knowledge, and the support you need will come as you take action. Now, number 3 here is embrace failure as feedback. So as you go forward, as you go after your bold goals, understand that failure is not the enemy. It's a stepping stone. Learn from every setback and use it as fuel to keep pushing forward. The most successful people in the world are those who didn't let failure stop them, but rather let it guide them to better decisions. So, if today's episode inspired you, here's a few more things I'd like you to do. Number 1, subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode of Revolutionize Your Life. Each week, we dive into powerful strategies that help you unlock your potential and achieve dramatic success. Now, number 2 would be share the episode. If you found value in today's episode, share it with a friend, a family member, or colleague. Everyone can benefit from the idea of taking bold action, and you never know who might need to hear this message today. Okay, and number 3 here is connect with me. I love to hear about the bold moves you're making. Reach out to me. Reach out to me on Facebook or LinkedIn, or visit my website at liamjenkins.com to share your progress. Let's keep the conversation going and continue pushing towards our biggest breakthroughs together. Let's do it. Now, remember, quantum leaps happen when you take bold action, when you suspend your limiting beliefs and you trust that you have what it takes to achieve more. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Start making your bold move today. Now, I want to thank you for joining me on today's episode of Revolutionize Your Life with Jenkins. Until next time, keep pushing forward, keep pushing towards your breakthroughs, and watch how your life begins to transform. I'm Jenkins.